Dear students, let's have a discussion on the most important poem, A Roadside Stand, by Robert Frost. As you know, Robert Frost is often considered as a poet of nature, but his deeper strength lies in using ordinary scenes to uncover moral discomfort. Frost exposes contradictions between appearance and reality, intention and outcome. In this poem, he steps beyond landscape poetry and enters social reflection, questioning whether conscience. His voice here is not that of a reformer, but of a witness troubled by what he sees and what society chooses not to see. Now, since we are discussing, and I have explained it with a view to be good at preparedness in the next examination, let's have a discussion about the title of the poem, A Roadside Stand, in a very nutshell. The title of this poem deliberately draws attention to something small, temporary, and easily overlooked. Positioned beside the road, not on it, the stand symbolizes people who exist close to development but remain excluded from its benefits. The use of the indefinite article a suggests universality, implying that this stand could belong to any village, any country, and any ignored community. One more important point, what I would like to get you acquainted before the explanation is the central idea. Then, after, we will have a discussion on the theme, and then, after summary. Later on, we will discuss stanza wise. The central idea of the poem A Roadside Stand highlights the emotional and economic gap between rural lives and urban prosperity. The poet presents a situation where the poor attempts to connect with modern progress, yet that progress refuses to slow down or acknowledge them. The central idea revolves around neglect, disguised as advancement, where development exists but empathy doesn't. Let's have a look on the theme of the poem. The theme is dominant. It expresses the quiet suffering caused by indifference. Frost explores how poverty is deepened not merely by lack of resources, but by lack of response. The poem also touches upon false rapport, showing that solutions imposed without understanding ground realities often worsen the pain they claim to cure. I have also prepared a brief summary about the poem, and that will clear most of the points. The poem describes a small roadside stall set up by poor villagers hoping to sell their goods to passing motorists. However, most travelers either ignore the stand or complain about its presence. Occasional promises of help remain distant and impractical. The poet observes the situation with growing unease, eventually revealing his own emotional existence at the villagers' endless waiting. The poem ends not with resignation but with discomfort, forcing the reader to reflect on their own position. Now, before going to explain, I would like to focus on some of the important points what a roadside stands actually incorporate in itself. After going through the poem, you will feel that the poem has potency to sensitize students to social and economic inequality. It encourages ethical thinking about a development. It also develops critical empathy, not blind admiration for progress, and it teaches that the system is important. Now, I'm going to read it before you see. The very first stanza is the title. The little old house was out with a little new seat. In front, at the edge of the road, where the traffic sped, see, a roadside stand that too pathetically plagued. It would not be fair to say for a dole of bread, but for some of the money, the cash whose flow supports the flower of cities from sinking and weathering faint. The polished traffic passed with a mind ahead, or if ever aside a moment, then out of sorts at having the landscape marred with the artless paints of signs that with N turned wrong and S turned wrong offered for sale wild berries in wooden quads or crook necked golden squares with silver warts or beauty rest in a beautiful mountain scene. You have the money, but if you want to be mean, why keep your money this and go along? Here, what do we see? We see that the poem opens with a small roadside stand set up by poor villagers on the edge of a busy highway. This stand symbolizes the fragile rural economy struggling to survive beside the fast moving, affluent urban world. The villagers hope that passing city people will stop and buy their goods, thus improving their lives. However, instead of customers, the stand attracts indifference and irritation. City drivers are more concerned about speed, comfort, and destination than human suffering. Their complaints about a wrong direction, sign, or an ugly view show how insensitive prosperity can become. Here we have the stanza actually establishes the central irony. The poor, you see, the poor wait with hope, wait with hope, while the rich pass with annoyance. Hope while the rich pass with annoyance. This is what? This is the central irony. You can say this is what? Central irony. Now we have in this stanza, we have symbolism. See, symbolism. Roadside, actually, this represents the roadside stand, and this also actually represents rural poverty. Rural poverty. We have also contrast. You see, fast cars versus fast cars versus slow waiting villagers. Slow waiting villagers. You see, this is now we have also our irony. What we have? Alliteration, repetition of consonant sounds in phrase describing traffic, and visualism imagery. You see, the reader can clearly see the highway and the small stand. So these are, you see, now you might have understood the literary devices, the figure of speech. Now we have read up to here. Now In the second stanza, actually, here you will come to know the false promises and cruel economic planning. See, the hurt to the scenery would not be my complaint so much as the trusting sorrow of what is unsaid. Here, far from the city, we make our roadside stand and ask for some city money to feel in hand, to try if it will not make our being expand and give us the life of the moving pictures. Promise that the party in power is said to be keeping from us. You see. So here the poet introduces people in authority, planners, politicians, and economists who claim they will improve rural lives. However, their ideas are theoretical and detached from reality. They speak of progress, but their plans actually destroy villages. See, the poor are promised better lives, moving and promise better lives, but these promises remain empty slogans. Instead of helping villagers earn with dignity, the system pushes them towards dependence and displacement. This stanza exposes how development, when imposed without empathy, becomes exploitation. See, we have we have the tone in this stanza. What we see is it appears to be very bitter and disillusion. Actually, you may also come across irony here in this stanza, and you will see when development worsens the condition it claims to improve. The promises is there. See, development development worsens the conditions it claims to improve. You will understand all this. Metaphor is also there. Metaphor, you see, economic plans compared to misleading dreams. Compared to misleading dreams. Now, the next, it is in the news that all these pitiful kin are to be brought out and mercifully gathered in to live in villages next to the theatre and the store where they won't have to think for themselves anymore, while greedy good doers, beneficent beasts of prey swarm over their lips, enforcing benefits that are calculated to soothe them out of their wits, and by teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day, destroy their sleeping at night at the ancient way. In this stanza, this stanza actually presents the innocent desires of the rural poor. They do not want luxury, only fair prices, basic comforts, and respect. Their dream is modest to earn honestly and live without humiliation. 8. These simple hopes appear unreachable in a world controlled by urban money and power. The poet highlights the emotional gap between need and fulfillment. The tragedy lies not in poverty alone, but in being unheard. Here we have, see, deep emotional appeal to the reader. Here we what we have, deep emotional, okay, deep emotional appeal to the reader. This is what? This is pathos. It also highlights ongoing neglects, ongoing on neglects, neglects here, what is represented by the figure of speech, that is repetition. We have also juxtaposition. See, one more what I have noted is noun, that is juxtaposition. Position, that means a small dreams versus massive economic system. A small dreams versus massive economic system. Systems. So this is sometimes I feel myself I can hardly bear the thought of so much childish longing in vain, the sadness that lurks near the open window there, that waits all day in almost open prayer for the squeal of a brakes, the sound of a stopping car, of all the thousand selfish cars that pass, just one to inquire what a farmer prices are, and one did stop, but only to plough up grass, in using the yard to back and turn around, and another to ask the way to where it was bound. We have some more lines. You can read it, and another to ask, could they sell it a gallon of gas? Now, in country money, the country scale of gain, the requisite lift of a spirit has never been found. And the last, I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain. See, here, the poet makes the poem deeply personal. He confesses that the suffering of the poor disturbs him so much that he sometimes wishes for their release from endless waiting and pain. This is endless. Okay. Now, he confesses that the suffering of the poor disturbs him so much that he sometimes wishes for their release from endless waiting and pain. This thought shocks him immediately because it resembles a desire for death, which is morally disturbing. The inner conflict shows Frost's deep in human sensitivity. He does not glorify poverty, nor does he accept cruel progress. Instead, he questions a world where death seems kinder than development without dignity. The poem ends not with solution, but with a moral question mark placed before the reader. Now, let's have a look on the figure of speech. You see, paradox. Okay, the first one, what I have noticed is paradox. That means kindness expressed through a disturbing thought. And personification. See, personification. This is suffering portrayed as a living burden. Suffering portrayed as a living burden. Now, apart from this, this was the explanation what I made of the poem, and it will certainly help you what I say. Now, let's have a look on some of the important question, and I think that you must be ready to prepare. Question the number one is, you see, what does the roadside stand symbolize in the poem? Means you have to prepare a question on symbolism. Symbolism. I may answer you as the roadside stand, although I have also given it in my explanation. Still, again, I am giving you a comment on it. The roadside stand symbolizes the struggle of the rural poor who seek survival and dignity in an indifferent urban dominated economy. So, if symbolism is asked, you may answer what I have said, or in the may. You may use your own language. The another one is, how does Robert Frost criticize urban mentality? This is one. The another one is criticism. Questions to be prepared on the poet criticism on urban mentality. Criticize urban mentality. How will you answer this? You can write that the poet criticizes urban mentality through indifferences, selfishness, and lack of empathy. And city people ignore human suffering while focusing on personal comfort. So this is one question what I think that may be asked in the examination based on the literary device. See, irony. Explain the irony in the poem. You can answer this. The irony lies in the fact that those who have everything complain while those who have nothing continue to hope silently. And this question may be very important. The another one, why does the poet feel disturbed at the end of the poem? See, the poet is disturbed because he momentarily feels that ending suffering might be kinder than endless neglect, a thought that conflicts with his moral values. Now, one more question that is related to message. Means, what message does the poem convey about development? The poem, actually, you may write your answer in this way, that the poem conveys that development without compassion is destructive, and true progress must include human dignity and inclusiveness. This is, still we have some more question, like how is the poem relevant in today's world? So this is also very important, because the question is based on the relevance of the poem. The poem, you may answer as, the poem remains relevant as economic growth continues to widen the gap between rural and urban population, making empathy more necessary than ever. This way, you can answer the questions with all your confidence. Thank you. Next, we will meet again in the next video. Thank you all.